My friends, I just pressed the Let's Go Live button, which means we've got to wait for the stream to fire up all across the fruited plain of the internet. Before we go ahead and get started, we got a full day. We got trial testimony from Ivanka and other things, but the tubes have to connect themselves before we start rambling off here, and it looks like they are connected, which is tremendous. That means we can go ahead and get started. So let's do it, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney, and today we're talking about Ivanka Trump. She was testifying in court on the Donald Trump civil fraud trial taking place outside of New York, inside New York. And of course, we're going to get into it today because you can see here's Ivanka making her way inside the courtroom, and we had Leticia James standing outside the courthouse steps and just slamming Ivanka right before she testifies. We've got some imagery of her walking into the court. We're going to see what it looks like. This was the big day because Ivanka was really kind of the end of the government's case, and she's kind of the final witness, and so we're expecting some gotcha moments like, aha! Ivanka is the keystone, right? The person who is going to connect all the dots. We'll see. The case, of course, being brought by Leticia James, and we're going to see what she had to say about it. She's talking a lot, slamming the other side when the other side really is kind of gagged about criticizing certain components of this. And we'll go to Inner City Press, check in with Adam Klasfeld, see if Dan Alexander has anything to say over from the trial X scripts, the reporting done by these three gentlemen on the X platform. We'll be sticking with largely Inner City Press today, who is there and reporting. So all that will be coming out in the first segment that we'll get to. Then we're turning our attention over to January 6th case in Washington, D.C. We'll take a quick look at the docket, and there were a couple interesting things that we've been covering here related to Trump's defenses. And one big component here was that Trump was going to be theoretically, maybe possibly using what's called an advice of counsel defense. And in this case, the government, Jack Smith, was ordering Trump, or demanding that the judge order Trump to actually notify the government whether they're going to be using the advice of counsel defense or not. And so that is ordered. The judge ordered them to disclose that by January 15th. So Trump's defense team has something to do. And we also have another order about some pretrial deadlines. And so we'll get into all of that and more. And let me just clear this screen up here. There's something I got to clean up. Just close that out there. All right. And so we'll keep on going, my friends. Now we've got James Comer also issued some interesting new subpoenas today, and the new subpoenas are going out to our friends over in the Biden crime family. Of course, the Oversight Committee sending out subpoenas to Hunter Biden, James Biden, Rob Walker, and then also sent some letters out to Sara Biden, Hallie Biden, Elizabeth Secundy, Cohen-Biden, and Tony Bobulinski. All got letters from the Oversight Committee. And you can see James Comer, he's seated right here, and just look, he's a lefty, first of all, so shout out to that. But watch him kind of do this. You see that little Jimmy move right there? Watch it. Boom. He's like, let's go, baby. He's almost like cocking a gun almost, just kind of whipping it out there, as you'll see. Let's go. It's time to sign some subpoenas. And so it's going to be pretty fun to see what this involves, because we got some nice subpoenas going out to old Hunty Poo, and we'll see what his lawyers say and how they react to that. So as you can tell, my friends, we've got a lot to get to today. We are looking forward to getting into it here with you. We had a beautiful member stream this morning. So this morning we already had a live stream, and we talked about the election results. My goodness, what happened out there in Ohio and other parts of the country, very concerning for some components here. And so we talked about that. We do members only streams in the morning. We do Saturday shows. We do after parties here after this stream is over. And so we'd love to see you at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. It's our members only community. We have a lot of fun. We got some other cool stuff cooking. So come and join us. If you're a YouTube member and you join on the tubes, we'd love to have you on the YouTubes as well. And on the YouTubes, oh my gosh. So it logged me out. This is the thing. It's, every time I start the stream, it's just like, we're going to log you out now. I'm like, but I'm in the middle of a stream. They're like, that's too dang bad. You're logged in when the stream starts, and then they just say, no, you're logged out now. But I was just logged in 2 seconds ago, and they just don't really care. So that's what we're working on right now. We're seeing what the heck is going on. We're logged back in again. Yes, YouTube, it's me. Yes, it's me. Same guy here 10 minutes ago. Oh, gosh. All right. So it's just kicks you out. Could you kick us out when we're not in the middle of a stream? Hello? All right. So we're back in business over there. And the heck was I talking about? Really irritates me when they do that because I get all discombobulated here. But all right, we're back. So we've got watchingthewatchers.locals.com, which is where you can join our members only community. And YouTube when it's not being a fed. We also have our website, robertgovea.com, where you can go and sign up for our daily newsletter. Boom, it's right here. You can click here for instant access right here on the screen. Get instant access over to our newsletter, and you can also get our daily show reports delivered to your inbox. So if you're kind of concerned with what's going on, I missed a show, whatever the issue is, you can definitely get that delivered to your inbox every day. And our website has all the reports, all the videos that we create here are turned into summaries, and we also include the PDFs and all the different things here. So you can get a nice summary of the stuff and stay up to speed on all the latest happenings out there. robertgovea.com is the place to go to check some of that stuff out. All right, so let me get my screens resituated so that we're all nice and tidy in the house. And without any further ado, of course, my friends, now let's get into it, shall we? Because we got business to attend to. And we're starting with Ivanka. Ivanka Trump testifies in trial brought by New York City's Attorney General Leticia James. And before Ivanka even took the stand, Tish went out on the courthouse steps and really laced into her, which is pretty inappropriate for a prosecutor, but that's all she does is talk. Then she sits behind the bar while the other lawyers actually do the heavy lifting. Now we'll take a look at what it appeared to be when Ivanka was arriving in court, and then we're going to jump right into the trial testimony today, courtesy of @InnerCityPress on the X platform and our friends Adam Klasfeld and Dan Alexander. So we're going to see what it looked like in New York City when Ivanka is entering, and you can see the media was there, man. They were just excited as can be. This is supposed to be the keystone of their case. Tishy is just finishing up. Her government prosecutors are closing up their civil prosecution of Trump this week, and then we're going to be waiting for the defense to bring their case. But this is what it looked like as we're wrapping up the government's case.
He's coming out.
Ivanka coming out of the vehicle. Looking good, looking strong. People screaming. All right, you can hear some people who just finished their ingestion of soy screaming in the background. Yeah, proud family, proud family. You know, if you're going to be screaming stuff like that, you should really scream from your diaphragm, okay? Scream like you got a pair, for crying out loud, but they don't. So, all right, so that is what it looked like when Ivanka is walking into the courthouse. You can see Supreme Court, which is not the actual Supreme Court the way we think about it. It's actually the lower level court in New York. But that was one scene. This is what it looked like inside the building when she came in. Just a short snippet of this.
Ivanka Trump is entering the courtroom now. She is there. This was just from a few moments ago. So she has been in the courtroom for the courthouse for about 25 minutes and now entering the courtroom. Well, she will take the stand in the New York Attorney General's $250 million civil fraud trial.
Now, we're going to pick it up from there, so put a pin in that, okay? We're going to pick up the testimony. Ivanka walks in and trial's going to get started. But while she was entering the courthouse, Leticia, she was out on the courthouse steps, and she was saying things like this.
Good morning, everyone. This morning we will hear from Ivanka Trump, who will be our last witness on our case on direct in our case against Donald Trump, her brothers, and the Trump Organization. Ivanka Trump secured, negotiated loans to obtain favorable terms based on fraudulent statements of financial condition. And she will attempt today to distance herself from the company. But unfortunately, the facts will reveal that in fact that she was very much involved. We uncovered the scheme, and she benefited from it personally. Ms. Trump will do all that she can to try to separate herself from this corporation, but she's inextricably tied to the Trump organization and to these properties that she helped secure financing for. So you cannot hide from the truth, and the facts will belie the truth and the evidence. And so we look forward to her testimony. Thank you.
Okay, great job there, Tish. Okay, so an elected Democrat who's made it a mission to take out the Trump family is now giving us lectures about what they're going to uncover and how justice is going to be done. So we know that that's where it started. The day picks up with with Ivanka coming in, and Ivanka is walking in, and you see here, attorneys for Trump enter the courtroom. They're taking their places at the defense table. Alina's in the courtroom, along with Christopher Keese, Cliff Robert, and Jesus Suarez. They walk in, all rise. Gosh, it's this guy. The judicial areola is back here. All right, let's sit back down. Hopefully he's got his shirt on today. All rise, please be seated. Okay. And the people, we have Louis Solomon, the government prosecutor for Tishy. Of course, it's not Tish, doesn't do anything. Says, the people call Ivanka Trump. And Judge Engeron, says, who's she? He's so funny, isn't he? Just such a clever guy. So Engeron and Keese are bantering, right? We await Ivanka Trump to enter. Engeron, this is the judge. Keese is Trump's lawyer. And we saw the scene. Witness entering. Ivanka Trump enters the courtroom. She makes her way to the witness stand. She's sworn in. Ms. Trump, please raise your... Do you swear to God? I do. And questioning begins. Now, Louis Solomon begins. He starts asking her about her biography. Where are you from? Education, born and raised, blah, blah, blah. Ivanka is maybe not speaking in to the microphone and enunciating to Judge Engeron's liking. So he says, Ms. Trump, I remind you that the microphones here are temperamental. So please speak clearly into them. And we jump over now to inner city press as we get into some questioning. And here's what he reports. Ms. Trump, are you familiar with GAAP? GAAP? We know that here from prior testimony as generally accepted accounting principles. Eric Trump got asked about this, as did Don Jr. Ivanka says, yes, I'm familiar. Ms. Trump, have you performed work for the Trump organization since 2017? I don't believe so, no. Have you had an interest in the D.C. post office project? She says, yes, I have. And so between 2017 all the way up to the present, Ms. Trump, have you received any payments from the Trump organization other than for the old post office? Ivanka says, no. Huh. And are you familiar with Deutsche Bank, Ms. Trump? She says, yes. They're the bank that lent to the Chicago project. I'm familiar. Did there ever come a time where you were introduced to someone from the private wealth business of Deutsche Bank? The office of the private wealth business there? And she says, yes, of course. Was it Rosemary Vrablic? Ivanka says, yes. And who introduced you, Ivanka, to Rosemary Vrablic? Oh, my husband, Jared did. Jared Kushner, former advisor to the president. And the government prosecutor continues saying, on Doral, was it the Trump organization's intention to renovate it if financing was obtained for that project? Ivanka says, well, it was our intention to renovate it regardless. I mean, we believed in its potential. And so our goal at the time when we were considering the Doral project was to reposition it as a luxury golf resort in South Florida. I say, that's an interesting story, Ivanka. I want to draw your attention to plaintiff's exhibit, government prosecutor's exhibit 1266. And just for the technicals out there, I'm saying they're prosecutors because this is a prosecution by a different name. It's a civil prosecution by Tishy. Now, it's your email. Is this right, Ivanka? It's saying to Beal Bank, it says the following: my father will send you his financial statement. Do you see that there? Ivanka says, yeah, I see it. Are you aware of any relationship between Beal Bank and CSG Investments? Ivanka says, you know, that anachronism sounds familiar. The government prosecutor says, well, let me show an email to you, Ivanka. It's to you from CSG, which is also based in Texas. And I'm going to ask you some questions about this. Trump's lawyer jumps up. Objection, Your Honor. How is this relevant to anything we're talking about? That's a different project. We're here. This is the Trump organization. That's unrelated as well. Anger on Areola says, overruled. It's in evidence. She can talk about it. So the government continues and says, Ivanka, on this email, it appears that Steve Harvey of this organization, CSG, he says he spoke with you. Do you have any reason to disbelieve this statement? Ivanka says no. That's what he said, I guess. It says LIBOR plus 5.5%, which is some loan terms. And she says, okay, see that. And says, here's another email chain. Now, this one's between you and Enrique, drawing your attention to Exhibit 3243. Ms. Trump, this is an email chain with you and Ronnie Levine. It says that you wrote, I actually spoke to Tom Harrison at Colony. Do you remember that, Ms. Trump? Colony was going to be our partner. And yeah, we spoke about the old post office. I remember. I have another exhibit for you. This is an email from Ronnie Levine to you, dated November 7th, 2011. Do you recognize this? She says, well, that's what it says. They say, we offer this into evidence, Your Honor. Trump says, objection, statute of limitations. This is from 2011. Okay, it's way too old. Engeron says, well, there's no jury here, so there's no prejudice. And he says, you know, and also, I'm going to admit this because this is arguably relevant to the injunctive relief the plaintiff is requesting. So the exhibit is admitted into evidence. Tishy wins again. Surprise. Ms. Trump, Mr. Levine in this email chain tells you, he says, we have spoken with a wide variety of lenders, and there's also a chart in this email chain about Deutsche Bank. You see that? Yeah. Did you and Donald Trump, your father, speak with Richard Byrne of Deutsche Bank Securities? Ivanka says, I don't know. You showed me a letter when we last were together, but beyond that, I don't remember it. So she says, when we talked previously, yeah, you know that you have a letter. Why are you asking me? Hello. And he says, that's right. We did show you a letter. Here's the November 15, 2011 letter. And here's your email to Mr. Byrne. You recognize it? We offer this into evidence, Your Honor. Trump says again, objection, Your Honor. Totally irrelevant. Mr. Byrne and this other project calling you. And by the way, it's statute of limitations problems again. November 15, 2011. It's too old. Judge says, overruled on both grounds. As usual, you know what I'm going to say. So the lawyer for the government continues. He says, Ms. Trump, here's Deutsche Bank's summary of indicative terms. You see this here? Yeah. And here's your email to Deutsche Bank's Rosemary Vorablik, that other woman, saying, you said this in your email. It says, my father and I very much look forward to meeting with you to discuss Doral tomorrow. And they say, you see this? Yeah. And we offer this email into evidence. Trump's lawyer again. Objection, Judge. Overruled. Sit down. Lawyer continues. Your Honor, now we enter into evidence this email about the summary of terms for the proposed acquisition of the Doral Resort. Objection! Engeron says, it's in. Don't you know what I'm going to do here? Ms. Trump, you also got this email from Ms. Vrablik. You forwarded it to Mr. Weisselberg, the convicted CFO from the Trump organization. And you wrote this in the email. It says, it doesn't get any better than this. You see that? She says, yeah. We offer this into evidence. Wow. Ivanka saying it doesn't get any better than this. Very good loan terms. That's good. You got a nice loan. Great job. Trump lawyer Alina Abba stands up. She says, Your Honor, we have a standing objection to admitting strings of emails, okay? Some of these were not sent. Engeron says, Alina, overruled. You know what I was going to say. Government says, this is their documents anyways, Your Honor. Now they say it's not reliable. Abba says, it's not that it wasn't sent. You didn't realize that until now, but some not sent. So you forwarded to Mr. Weisselberg and wrote, it doesn't get any better than this. We offer into evidence. But some emails were not sent. So is the question is, was that email actually sent? Now they say it's not reliable. Abba says, no, it's that it wasn't sent. You didn't realize that until now. But Engeron cuts Alina off. Hey, stop. Let's move on. Government says, Ms. Trump, Ivanka, does this refresh your recollection that you thought it was a good offer from Deutsche Bank? Ivanka says, well, we ended up doing the deal with Deutsche. Engeron cuts her off. Hey, Ivanka, it's a yes or no question. Ivanka says, we ended up doing a slightly different deal, but the email says what it says. Engeron says, that could have just been a yes, which is just wild. So, I mean, the judge is like, lecturing the witness now, and he's doing it on behalf of the government, I guess, right? He's like actually doing the examination, basically. So the government continues. Thanks, Judge. Hey, great job. Appreciate that. Says, here is Donald Trump's statement of finances. You see this on your screen? It says here his net worth is $4.597 billion. Were you aware of that statement of finances? Ivanka says no. Did you propose different terms when you were working with Deutsche Bank? Ivanka says, as I said earlier, I think the deal we did had a different rate, so there must have been subsequent discussions because I don't remember what you're saying that was. Government lawyer continues. Says, well, I want to show you this email. Now, this one's from somebody called Tom Sullivan. This is a lawyer over at the Deutsche Bank. You remember Tom? Ivanka says, no, I don't really remember Tom, and I don't remember this email either. Trump's attorney says, Your Honor, she was summoned here saying, we object to this, okay? She was summoned here about the old post office loans, all right? Not Deutsche Bank, not any of these other things. The subpoena that she got said she was going to come here to testify about old post office. She's not being asked questions about old post office. It's irrelevant outside the scope of the subpoena, and so we object to all testimony and all questioning about it. Judge Engeron says, the law is entitled to all evidence. Ha. So he's just going to, whatever you want, whatever you want. Ask Ivanka about anything. Government says she's emailing about the terms of the loan. This is a critical issue in this case. Alina jumps up and says she's no longer a defendant in this case. So you're not allowed to do this. You don't just get to go into whatever you want. She's just a witness who's here subject to your subpoena, and she's supposed to be testifying about that. Engeron says overruled. Nice job, Alina. Good fight. We know where this is going, though. The judge is here continuing. Now, the government moves forward. They say, all right, well, we offer this exhibit, which must be the statement of the finances. Objection, Your Honor. We object to that. Engeron. Overruled. Government continues. Ms. Trump, I want to show you Exhibit 355. This looks like an email to you from Mr. Vrablik to you. It's a Mr. February 16th. Did you receive this in 2016? Ivanka says, well, give me a minute. Let me read it. Calm down. Does this refresh your recollection, Ms. Trump, that you were seeking a loan on behalf of Donald Trump? Doesn't it? She says, no. No? You wrote here, an unsecured loan would not require an appraisal. Do you remember? She says, no. Objection from the defense. Overruled, says Engeron. Government says, Ms. Trump, look, here is Rosemary Vrablik's email to you. And in this email, it says, quote, we are disappointed that the bank couldn't make the exception in this case. Do you recall that? No, I don't. Do you recall leasing an apartment in Trump Park Avenue? She says, yeah. Did the lease have an option to buy the penthouse for $8.5 million? She says, yeah. Was this in Donald Trump's financials? They ask her. Ivanka says, as I told you, I was not involved in preparing his financial statements. Ms. Trump, I want to show you another a document here. This is the Second Amendment to the lease at 502 Park Avenue. Do you recognize this? Oh, I see it right there in front of me, yeah. Between 2011 and prior to your departure in 2017, Ms. Trump, were you aware that Donald Trump had financial statements? She says, of course he had them. He's friggin' rich, man. She said, but I'm not involved in his personal statements other than what you've shown me. So you had no role? Alina jumps up. Asked and answered. Objection. Engoron says, Alina, stop it, okay? I'm going to allow it, obviously. So they get another question. So you had no role, Miss Trump? No, not that I'm aware of. No. Judge says, oh, gosh, we're not getting what we want here. 15-minute break. I direct the witness not to discuss the testimony while you're still a witness. Ivanka says, yeah, I will. Thanks. They take a break. Judge airs out his nipples, and we're back. Now, did there come a time when the Trump organization sought to refinance the debt, Miss Trump, on the Chicago property? Says, yeah. Did you reach out to CSG Investments? Ivanka says, I don't recall. Well, I have something to refresh your recollection. Now, this is an email, Miss Trump, from you to Jared Kushner at NewYork@observer.com. Do you recall this? She says, no, I mean, I see it because you're showing me. You see the date here, it says May 17, 2012, right? Yeah. And Deutsche was offering the terms, the proposed interest rate. You see here, it's on page 15 of 27. And here, Miss Trump, Deutsche sent you the summary of the terms. Do you recognize that document, Miss Trump? She's flipping through it. No, I don't, actually. Well, we offer it into evidence anyways. Objection, says the defense. There's no foundation. Objection. Engoron says, no, you're overruled. Of course it's coming in. Whatever they want. Perfect. So, Miss Ivanka, it looks here like you wrote to Deutsche Bank's Rosemary Vrablik. It says something like, thanks, Rosemary. We appreciate it. Do you recall this? Ivanka says, give me a moment to read it. Hold on a second. On the first email, the government says, it says, Rosemary tells you, we would like to offer the following revised pricing. You see that, Miss Trump? Dropping the interest rate where it says that? She says, yeah, I see it. Okay, so what? So let's talk about the old post office in D.C. Alina's like, great, finally, why she's here. Did the Trump organization respond to an RFP, likely a request for a proposal from the GSA? Says, yeah. Great, I want to show you government's exhibit 1164. Is that your signature on the cover letter, Miss Trump? She says, yeah, it is. And it says here on the cover letter, it says Trump's financial statements have been provided under separate cover. Was that accurate? Ivanka Trump laughed. She says, I think so. I don't know. What are you asking me for? Miss Trump, was the Trump organization thinking of partnering with Colony Capital at this point? She said, at this point, yeah. And did the Trump organization have a letter of intent with Colony Capital? I can't recall. And Trump's lawyer jumps up and says, Your Honor, is there some time limit on where we're headed here today? Like, is this just going to go off into whatever they want to talk about? Engoron says, yeah, there is a time limit. It's 4:30 today. Have fun, government. Do whatever you want to Ivanka. Mr. Solomon, can you explain where this is headed? And Solomon says, not in front of the witness, Your Honor. And so Ivanka Trump says, well, fine, we'll excuse the witness. And Engoron is finally like, well, I guess I better figure out where they're going. And so Ivanka is let out. Now, Engoron says, well, here's my position on this. These deals had requirements of updated financial statements year after year. And Trump's defense says, Your Honor, no, I respectfully disagree with that. All right, only those in 2014 and 2016 are within the statute of limitations. He's asking about years before. These have no connectivity to the rest of the cases here. Engoron says, no. Some of these loans here required as a condition of the loan to certify things in the future. Isn't that correct? The government says, yeah, exactly. And Colony Capital is relevant and very respected. And Trump's lawyer says, Mr. Barack will be very happy to hear that. Says that the GSA was happy. They transformed a hulking relic into a world-class facility. And what we've done here, and Engoron cuts him off, says, hey, you're starting to sound like your client, all right? Let's get the witness back. Sorry to have kept you in the dark. They bring Ivanka back in. The letter of interest with Colony. Engoron brings Ivanka back and says, I want to thank the technical people in this courtroom here. The way they put these exhibits up, it's like fascinating. The judge is like, wow, it's like a PowerPoint slide presentation wonderland in here. Ivanka says, yeah, thanks. I thank them too. Thanks for putting the exhibits up. Engoron says, yeah, I know, Ivanka. I know this is not your first rodeo. She's like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, no, our family hasn't been attacked by communists ever before. Thanks, though. All right, here we are. So the government's back says, all right, Ms. Trump, I want to tell you about LTC financing. What was it? And she says, I don't use that an acronym. And I think we have a word confusion. I think the word is acronym, right? And we might just be off on the word there. I don't know if she's off on that word or not, but I don't use that acronym. What is LTC? Was this accurate? This thing accurate? She says, I don't recall this document. I don't recall what it is. Did the GSA identify any deficiencies in this document? Ivanka says, yeah, the GSA had questions. Government says it's already in evidence. Engoron says, well, that's music to my ears. Ms. Trump, do you recall discussing Donald Trump's financial statements in any way, shape, or form? Ivanka says no. The intention of the meeting was to discuss our vision for the project, and I believe there was only one meeting. And did Colony drop out as a partner of this deal? Ivanka says, yeah. Prior to us getting the deal, they did. Engoron says, 8-minute warning. Government continues. Now, this is an email between you and Jared Kushner, isn't it? Objection, marital privilege. Judge Engoron says, we call it spousal here. And there's a difference between marital privilege and spousal immunity, I believe. Consult a family lawyer about that one. But here, right, it's marital privilege. They say Engoron calls it spousal. New York Attorney General here is saying the Trump organization gave us this document, and so all of that is waived, like we got it from them. And Trump's defense says the Trump org cannot waive that privilege. They can't do that. But the judge says, I find it waived. So there you go. The defense says, Your Honor, he cannot ask about those other communications. He says, all right, come up here to the bench. So the lawyers come up to the bench, they confer, they go back. Government continues. Ms. Trump, did you see here Capital One? Do you see this here, Capital One? She says, I see it, but I don't recall Capital One. It says, you wrote to Jim Petrus. And Ivanka says, it's Petrus. Get it right. Okay, she says, you wrote to him about the OPO transaction. You recall that? She says, no, I don't recall. And why were you showing, Ms. Trump, why were you showing Trump Organization information to Mr. Kushner? Objection, privilege. Engoron says, all right, we're going to take a long break here for crying out loud. And of course, I'm encouraging you, my friends, to go and follow Inner City Press. And if you want to read his book on this, you certainly can. He's got a link here to Amazon, Trump Trial 1. And man, he's doing great reporting there from inside the courtroom. So plug for Matthew Russell Lee, doing great work. Follow him at Inner City Press. Definitely get a copy of his book. And we're back. And he says, government continues. Ms. Trump, I want to show you this document. Okay. Does this refresh your recollection about Ivanka OPO LLC? And she says, yeah, that's my interest in the project. I think it was a profit participation type of deal, and it was disclosed to the GSA when we all did this. And they said, was that also in an irrevocable trust? And Engoron, oh gosh, Engoron says, I think it's pronounced irrevocable. Irrevocable. Maybe we should ask the witness again with this word. Okay. When Don Jr. was here, the judge asked Don Jr., do you call your trust the Trump irrevocable trust or the Trump irrevocable trust? So the lawyer says, is this an irrevocable trust? And the judge says, I think it's pronounced irrevocable. Maybe we should ask the witness. Ivanka says, I think it's irrevocable. She says, I think it's irrevocable. So it's hard to tell which syllable to put the syllable. The emphasis on the syllable. We don't know where the emphasis hides. So it's irrevocable or irrevocable. Judge Engoron says, I think you just changed your mind there, Ivanka. The government's like these two. Get a room. So they say, definitely don't. We've seen that judges, we don't know. We offer this document into evidence, says the government. Trump's defense, objection, Your Honor. Again, for the fifth time, relevant, not even relevant. She's outside the scope of her subpoena here, and it is outside the statute of limitations. Engoron says, overruled. It's admitted, of course. So the government finishes. That's it for us. We have nothing further at this time. Angeron says, any cross-examination? Seems like a yes from you guys. Trump's defense says yes. And this is different because we had, I think, no cross-examination for Eric Trump. They just, yep, he's done. He's out of there. So Trump's lawyer now hops up there. His name is Jesus Suarez. Shout out to Jesus Suarez out there, sending you good energy. Says, I represent certain of the defendants in this case. Miss Ivanka Trump, what role did you have in preparing the financial statements for your father? Ivanka says none. Suarez says, you did not have any responsibility for your father's financial statements? No. Angeron says, she already said no. There was no reason to ask that, so move on. He's like, wow, not helping our side. You're helping the other side pretty nicely. Another Trump lawyer jumps up. He says, so they went on for hours, Your Honor. They went on for hours. Good for him. Yeah, defend him. Your Honor, what are you talking about? They asked the same question 35 times. We're already getting the hurry up? This is totally unfair. Angeron's like, all right, relax. Suarez continues. See, this is good bro time defense lawyering, right? Second Trump lawyer stands up to defend the first lawyer. He gets an objection. You know, the judge is scolding him and the other lawyer backs him up. Love it. So Suarez continues. He says, Miss Ivanka, probably calling her Ivanka. Now, how is the Deutsche Bank private wealth division different from the commercial lending? Two different entities. Can you describe that for us? Ivanka says, well, I work much more with private wealth and Rosemary Verlabic and not the others. And so it was her job to help the bank make money with your family. That was her job. Ivanka says, presumably. I mean, I don't know. But sure. And says, Miss Ivanka, I'm going to show you a document. You see this on the screen? Yeah. Recognize it? Yeah. Probably an Outlook or calendar invite or something. Yeah. Who was at this meeting? Ivanka says, Rosemary. My father was there, Trump. And I think Mr. Weisselberg was there, the CFO from the Trump org. And was there competition, Ivanka, within Deutsche Bank for your family's business? Were they trying to get his business? Ivanka says, yeah, it certainly seems so. So the relationship, eventually it moved to the private wealth group. Is that true? Ivanka says, yeah, that's the group that I worked with. And why was Deutsche Bank selected as the lender for this? She says, well, we had a good relationship with them. And how was the Doral property identified as one in which your family had an interest? And she says, well, my father loved that property. It's great. He went there on a golf trip with his father and my mother, and he thought the asset was not living up to his history. So that's why we went and got it. We were going to be taking good care of it and restoring it. And what was your vision for redeveloping this project, Ivanka? And she goes, well, it was enormous. I focused on the design. There was a lot to do. I mean, we were doing this and here, hanging that and put that over there, move the wall here and put that, build a castle over there. And she says, so I was less involved in the golf component. My father, had a particular vision for that one. It was a big project, but now that I live in full Florida, I do visit it periodically. Angeron's like, all right, cut this crap off. He says, 5-minute warning. So the defense continues. All right, before we take a break, Your Honor, I've got exhibit from the defense 324. Ms. Trump, I want to show you this document on the screen here. It looks like an email from Rosemary Verlabic to you. You see this? Yeah. Can you describe what's going on in this email? She says, well, they were impressed what we had done with properties. They liked what we had done. So maybe they wanted to work with us. Judge says, all right, that's a good time for a break. So they go out, take their break, and we're back. Now, Jesus is back up. Mr. Suarez, says the judge, please continue. Ivanka's back on the stand. Suarez says, Ms. Trump, I want to talk about the Chicago project. So for this project, Deutsche Bank made the loans. Is that true? Yeah. And the old post office, another project. How did you become aware of that project? And she says, well, the GSA, which is probably some entity, they put out an RFP, which is a request for a proposal. And what role did you play? She says, well, I wore a lot of hats in that one. I mean, design, construction, it was complicated. We had like 20 agencies involved in that. And what was your vision for this project? And she says, it's big. We had a food court in the basement. We thought a super luxury hotel. And we had big visions for it. It's Trump, man, gold everything. Was Deutsche Bank excited, Ms. Trump? She says, oh, yeah, they were. They thought this was a great project. We had a lot of conversations about it. And it was a lot of fun, actually. And did Deutsche Bank view its participation as part of its relationship with your family? Its participation in this project as part of its relationship with you and your family? Government says, objection, Your Honor, we object to the word participation, okay? They were just a lender. They were not participating, okay? Don't make this thing cozy. Engeron says, it's okay. They can say, you can use that word. So Trump says, so they visited, like Deutsche Bank people, they visited, yeah. I want to show you Exhibit 431. Looks like the meetings were with the GSA. They were held, it looks like December 19th and through 21 in 2011. Is that right, Ms. Trump? She says, yeah. And you were not the one responsible to answer about the financial statements, were you? She says, no. No, I wasn't at all. And so this document, it looks like, it shows that the GSA is saying that Mr. Trump's financial statements did not comply with GAAP. Is that true? Objection from the government. We've never seen this document. The second Trump lawyer jumps up, says, Your Honor, they've already did this same crap. Okay, this is a public record. It's foundational. And so if they're trying to get stuff in that's public record, and you say that it can come in, if we submit a public record, you have to let our public record come in. This is a public record and it's foundational. So they object to getting this document out, and guess what? Engeron this time sustains it. Don't you love that? So previously in this trial excerpt, courtesy of @InterCity Press, overruled. Why? Because Tish and her people were questioning Ivanka. Now that the defense is asking questions and they're objecting, okay, they get sustained, which means they win. So the lawyer says, hey, Your Honor, they asked about Colony Capital. She wasn't refreshed and you still let it in. So there are two standards here. This is totally incorrect. We got this through a Freedom of Information Act request. And Engeron says, hey, I don't have a double standard. You can say so if it makes you happy, but I don't. There are different reasons for why I'm hamstringing your side. Second lawyer says from Trump, whatever, Your Honor, I call it like I see it. I wish it were different, but you let their public records in and not ours. He says their objections have been of greater validity than yours. Sustained. Now, I don't even know what the point of this conversation is. Why are you hassling me? I'm the judge. I don't even know why you're asking him this. Ivanka says, I have no reason to believe that the GSA would not be accurate. Suarez says, can I have a read back over to the court reporter? Can I have a read back, Mr. Court Reporter? Engeron said, of what I said? No, of what she said. They read it back. Okay, so Miss Trump, the property was redeveloped, right? Wasn't it? She says, yeah. And what was the government's reaction when it was completed, once you did this on their behalf? Ivanka says, well, we had a lot of Congress people were very happy about it, in fact. We had a congressperson called Eleanor Holmes Norton. She was very pleased. And Congressman Nadler asked me to come to Brooklyn and speak. And we know Congressman Nadler as the waddler. He's been waddling around Congress for 35 years, probably with 35 pounds of excrement in his diaper. I don't know what else causes him to waddle that way, but he does. So even he was happy with the Trumps because they did great work. Now, Trump's lawyer, Suarez, he's raising his voice here. He's getting irritated because the judge is probably interfering. Your Honor, I'm trying to show the work this family did, and I have to listen to the government lawyers laughing while they try to destroy jobs in this state? Okay, so do you see what happened there? Ivanka says, I had to go to Brooklyn to speak for the Nadler. And they're snickering back there at the government's table. Nadler, yeah, okay, Ivanka, you're so famous. You're such a great job in New York. And they're laughing back there. And so the defense says, Your Honor, I'm trying to show the work this family did. And I got to listen to government lawyers laughing while they destroy jobs in this state? They say, move to strike that, Your Honor. Don't put that in the record. Engeron says, yeah, I'm going to strike that. Don't say that about them. They're nice. Ivanka picks back up. Question about the OPO project. Who'd you hire? He said, well, she said, we hired in the district. And Engeron says, I'll consider that as a supplement to your previous answer. You're done. So Trump's defense continues. Ms. Ivanka, was Deutsche Bank pleased with this project? And she says, we thought that Engeron says, not responsive. What did Deutsche Bank think? Ivanka says, geez, says they were pleased with our work. Gosh, take it easy, Judge. So Suarez, the defense continues, Ms. Trump, here's an email from Rosemary Vrablik to you saying that her boss wanted to thank you and your family, saying you're top 10 with us. Do you see that? Yeah. And did the lease of Penthouse 20 in the Park Avenue building, did that include an option to buy, Ms. Trump? She says, yeah, but we ended up moving to Washington to work in my father's presidential administration, so we never went down that road. Well, what else did you do in the Trump organization? What else did you do? Ivanka says many projects. We did the Trump Hotel collection. I also did my own brand. I did a lot of things. And how do you feel about your work? How do you feel about the job you've done? I'm very proud. We over-delivered on every metric. We do a great job. This is Trump, baby. It's a Trump name. You know how we do things. Yeah, that's right, Ms. Trump, I do. Now, I want to show you Defense Exhibit 299, and I want to admit it. And that's the end of our cross-examination, Your Honor. No further questions. Government still sitting there. Tish is back behind the bar, says, no, she doesn't say anything, but the government says, no redirect, Your Honor. And that's it. We have Judge Engeron asking if the plaintiff rests, witness is excused. Ivanka, thank you for your testimony today. Does the government rest? Government says, well, we have some documents, Your Honor. We've got 2 voice messages, and we're still waiting for the Weisselberg doc. Trump's lawyer says, okay, so that means they're resting their case then, right? So they're done? Now, if they move to reopen if they want, but we can move for a directed verdict, which is what we're going to be doing. Says, for next to Judge Engeron, says, you said you have 4 hours of cross, but you didn't. So who's your next witness? Trump's lawyer says, we don't have any witnesses, Your Honor, until Monday. And so that reporting concludes the day of Ivanka Trump's testimony. And I don't know what they think they got out of that. Okay, the decision's already been made in this case. You can see the judge just is not even listening, right? There's not even really any items coming out of this other than Ivanka was involved in some projects and she did some deals, I guess, and the banks were all happy about it and they loved her work. Great testimony there, Tish. Amazing job. So again, my friends, this is from Inner City Press, does great reporting on these from inside the courtrooms. Be sure you give him a follow at Inner City Press on the X platform and support his work as well as the others who were reporting. Klasfeld and Dan Alexander are there as well. But this is the conclusion of Leticia's trial, or very close to the conclusion. We don't think we have any other witnesses, and so they've got some documents that will be coming in. But then after that, Trump's defense starts in full on Monday. And so we'll be here to continue to cover this. Hopefully you join us. We'd love to see you here, inviting a friend or family member to join you, to come check out this channel so that they can see what's really happening inside this courtroom as best as we can report on it. We'd love to see you here, my friends. This is only just getting warmed up. There's going to be a lot more Trump litigation to follow. We'll be here to cover it. We'll be looking forward to seeing you on the next one. All right. Insane. And the judge, right, I'd like to see that. Wouldn't that be nice to have that type of behavior on video? Like, wouldn't it be nice if we could see this judge throwing a temper tantrum every 2 minutes? But we can't because they're closing it off from the public. And so now we're going to jump over to the January 6th case and Judge Chutkan out of D.C. Donald Trump and his defense, they have been ordered to disclose one of the key defenses that could be used in the trial. Chutkan issuing 2 new orders that we're going to go through, specifically one talking about advice of counsel. Donald Trump has been saying that his lawyers told him to do certain things, and the government is saying, well, if that's true, then we should have access to those emails where your lawyers told you to do the thing. So if you're going to be relying on advice of counsel, you got to tell us about it so that we can get access to all of your attorney-client privilege documents. And the judge is saying that, yeah, Trump, you do have to tell them what your key defenses are or else. And this is going to continue onward in this courtroom because this judge is holding this case to a very strict deadline in March. We're also going to review another order about those deadlines, and we'll see what she schedules for us soon. But this is a quick update from the docket just to show you the latest filings. You can see here we have the pretrial notice of the advice of counsel defense motion. We've also got motions to compel deadlines being rescheduled for November and December, and various replies here on the docket itself. But the big ones were from Judge Chutkan, and she had two things that just came out recently, including this opinion and order talking about pretrial motions deadlines, and then the order about the advice of counsel defense. And so we'll start here today talking about this key defense that Trump has been talking a lot about in public on the media and elsewhere. But here you can see it's United States of America versus Donald Trump. It's a 3-pager coming from Judge Chutkan herself out of the January 6th courtroom, Washington, D.C. Circuit Court. And this is what she says about advice of counsel. She says, all right, Jack Smith and the deranged thugs over there at the DOJ, they filed a motion for formal pretrial notice of Trump's intent to rely on this defense. So, Your Honor, if he's going to be talking about this at trial, he needs to tell us so that we can go investigate and get discovery about it. Now, that motion from Jack Smith, it asks Chutkan to order that Donald Trump by December 18th, which is going to be here, like in the split, second, they want Trump to provide notice in court of his intent to assert the advice of counsel defense at trial, saying my lawyers told me to do it. And so the court from Chutkan is going to grant Jack Smith's motion and deny it in part. Now let's go through it. They say the advice of counsel defense requires that Trump, quote, introduce evidence that he relied in good faith on a lawyer's advice that his course of conduct was legal, right? That I can challenge the election, which I think is actually a good defense, right? Because I think that he has legal advice that told him that. The question is he going to use this advice because it might open him up to discovery that will involve communications between him and his team, right? So we have to ask ourselves, is it worth this defense? He made a full disclosure, so if he does rely on his attorneys and the lawyers say it was illegal, if he made full disclosure of all of those facts to his attorney before receiving the advice at issue. So you can't only give your lawyer half the story and then rely on their advice to do something. Like your lawyer has to be properly advised. So if Trump did those two things, I would say it's a pretty good defense, right? He's probably got lawyers, I think probably a lot of them, who told him that he was allowed to ask Mike Pence to do what he asked Mike Pence to do. He's allowed to do that. And we know that because they changed what Mike Pence in that role is supposed to do now. It's now purely ceremonial, and it's not what it once was. So Trump, by invoking the defense, if he were to do this, the blame the lawyer defense, we can call it, the defendant waives attorney-client privilege. Now we have to ask ourselves, like, is that something he wants to do? And must therefore disclose to the government all communications or evidence that he intends on to rely on to establish the defense. So maybe not all communications, right? But only those that he wants to rely on. Now, Jack Smith is going to say, no, we need everything. We need all the emails all the time from everybody everywhere, because they want to open that box. Like they want to crack that shell and get in there. And Trump will say, no, it's like 3 emails where, like this one. So any otherwise, they say, and any otherwise privileged communication that he does not intend to use at trial, but are relevant to proving or undermining it. You see that? So that's the danger zone right there. Uh-oh. So then Jack Smith can say, everything's relevant. Every single email from Trump is relevant. And it may not be relevant to proving it, but we think it's relevant to undermining it. And we've got to see everything. And they're going to say, we gave Trump a ton of discovery, 12 million pages or whatever the number is. And so we should get everything too. And guess what? Chutkan is going to give it to him. So this is where Trump is going to have to probably eat this one and say, we're not going to take a defense. We're not going to use this defense, because if he does, Jack Smith is just going to open the door. Oh, perfect. Thanks, Judge. And then the judge is going to say, yeah, give him everything. Just give him your laptop. Give it to him right now. Just give it to him, because that's Judge Chutkan for you. So she says the federal rules of criminal procedure and the local criminal rules do not expressly require advance notice of this advice of counsel defense. Okay, so there's no actual rule that requires this to be done. But because waiting until trial to invoke the defense and comply with the disclosure obligations it triggers could cause what she'll call disruption and delay, some district courts have concluded that they nonetheless have the inherent authority to order the defense to provide advance notice if they intend to assert the defense. So just to be ultra clear on how badly this screws the defense, which is just how this always works, there is no rule that requires the defense to tell the government their defense, because that's insane. It'd be like running a play in a football game and just notifying the other team, hey, it's 3rd down and we're going to pass. So you know, and it's going to 34, which is usually, I think, a running back number. But you get the point. So this is making Trump disclose this. This is our playbook. This is our defense. And there's no real requirement under the law to do it. But they have just inherent, you see this, inherent authority to order Trump to tell the other side what he's doing before he's going to do it anyways. Now, other district courts, however, have concluded that they lack that authority. So other districts have said, no, why would we make the defense disclose their defense to the government? So it's split. And which way do you think Chutkan's going to go? So in this case, the court need not decide whether it has the authority to order defendant to provide notice, because he, quote, agrees to provide notice to the prosecution of whether he intends to pursue a formal advice of counsel at the time jury instructions are due, which is currently January 15th. Oh, okay, so this is interesting. So defendant also proposes, however, that rather than requiring disclosure immediately after he provides notice to the court, he says the court should solicit briefing to determine a reasonable schedule for that disclosure. Okay, so I see what's happening here. We'll break this down. Depending on the scope of the defendant's requested jury instruction on the advice of counsel defense. But Chutkan says, but Trump cites no precedent for that procedure, and it runs contrary to the standard practice of requiring that disclosure accompany notice. So if you're going to notify him about the defense, disclosure also has to come, since that notice waives attorney-client privilege. All right, so they say, indeed, notice without disclosure would have little practical value and would inject undue delay into the pretrial prep. So just to zoom out on this, because there's a lot going on. Trial is scheduled for this thing in March. Okay, I think it's March 3rd, if I'm right, because Super Tuesday, I think, is March 4th. And so what Trump's defense is trying to do is they're trying to delay. Okay, they want to postpone this badly. And if they could postpone it even, 90 day, any justification is going to put it right into election season. And so any postponement is really essentially going to mean it has to come after the trial, after the election. So Chutkan is not going to let that move. So what Trump's people were trying to do here, which is clever, but she's not going to let them do it, is they were going to say, look, we're not going to fight you on this advice of counsel stuff. We will notify you on January 15th. And then on January 15th, once we notify you, then we'll schedule a hearing. Okay, so they'll put a January 15th, we'll notify you. Then, Your Honor, what we'll want is probably a hearing on that, maybe I don't know, in 2 weeks or so. So let's say January 31st, we have a scheduling order, a hearing, whatever, we get some scheduling done. Then they say, we'll have a disclosure due, let's say, because this trial's coming up fast, so we'll have disclosure by 2/7, let's say, in February. And then there's going to be a disclosure fight right here, right? They'll fight over this disclosure. Oh, no, the government says that we should give them this, and we say no. And so the government says, well, we don't have the proper disclosure on 2/7. And so then we come back, and so you can see we're running out of time. There's 30 days here to fight over the discovery. But the point is, the defense knows that this fight is going to take longer than 30 days. So they're saying, we'll let you know on 1/15, and then we can start to process all of this discovery. But the problem the judge is saying is, no, we're not going to let you do any of that, okay? When you come on the 15th, you need to know all of this. You need to know, disclosure needs to be made on the 15th date. We're not going to notify and then come up with a schedule. So she says, and also, but she's also being clever about this, because she says, you already admitted that I have the power to require advance notice, right? So they're acknowledging that this court has some inherent power. Now, they were doing that, I think, because they were, gambling on this, that she might schedule it, and then they could have a scheduling sequence that would take them into a need for a motion to continue the 3-3 trial. And now the judge is not going to let them do that. She picked out the point and says, you agree with me. I can require this, and so I am going to require it, but I'm going to require it on the 15th. She says, accordingly, Jack Smith's motion for a pretrial notice of intent to rely on the defense of advice of counsel is granted. So Jack Smith gets to know in part, but it's denied in part. As he has already consented to do, and you might ask yourself if that's a mistake to do that, or if it's a mistake to just fight this all the way to the actual trial date, or if that was a better strategy. They say Trump shall file formal notice whether he is going to use advice of counsel defense by January 15th, 2024. If Trump does provide affirmative notice that he's going to be using this defense, Trump must also provide the required discovery to the government at that time, right? All of this needs to be there. So all communication that Trump intends to use to establish the defense and otherwise privileged communication that he doesn't even intend to use, but that might be used to prove or undermine the defense. And so the other way that this could go, let's think about this, right? If we game it out, on 115, they could come and they could show up with like 3 emails. Okay, here you go. Yep, we're invoking. Perfect. We invoke. We got 3 emails there for you guys. Jack Smith says, oh no, we need 4,000 emails from you. And then we fight over that, right? Now this battle happens here. And Chutkan, orders something to happen very rapidly, disclose all emails from this date, from these accounts. And then I think there's a lot of risk here to this, because there's a lot of risk here, because Chutkan's order, I think, to clear this up, like if Trump shows up with limited discovery and Jack Smith wants more, Chutkan is going to give them more. So there's a lot of risk there. I tend to believe that they're not going to invoke the advice of counsel defense, if I had to guess on it, but we'll see. Now, Chutkan has ordered it be done by January 15th. If they do invoke it, they got to turn over some communications. If they don't invoke it, then they'll proceed to trial on all of the other incredibly problematic issues that the government has in their case. But Chutkan issued another order. This one's talking about some other pretrial deadlines. So while we're on this topic, let's see what else is being scheduled for us as we enter into trial time. So this is from Judge Chutkan, another opinion in order. She says, now Donald Trump is filing several motions. We've got a couple of these. One was motions to compel for subpoenas, right? Trump wants subpoenas in particular for a lot of the January 6th type of materials that suddenly went missing. So Trump now seeks to extend those deadlines. Specifically, Trump requests that motions for subpoenas be due on February 9th and that motions to compel be due on a rolling basis. Judge says, Trump offers several arguments in support of this motion. First, Trump says that the government's discovery production is not well organized. Now, again, to talk about deadlines, remember, it's the same timeline. Trump is asking for continuances. Motion for extension of time. Motions, extension. They're looking for any reason to bump the March 3rd date. If they can bump it even, 90 days or whatever, they'll probably find another reason to bump it again. So the judge does not want to move it. So she's going to be denying, I think, a lot of this stuff. Well, let's see. As long as the trial date doesn't move, she can move some of these prior deadlines, but let's see. She says, the government says, discovery is not well organized, okay? We need more time. We're also citing the fact that emails do not contain their attachments and the replies. So the emails are all like individualized. He says, this is ridiculous. We can't find anything in here. Second, Trump's defense argues that the discovery is voluminous and it continues to be provided on a rolling basis, making it difficult, if not impossible, to raise motions before the current deadline. So what they say is, yeah, we got a full wheelbarrow full of stuff yesterday. We started writing our motion. We're like, hey, motion to object, motion to dismiss, blah, blah. And we woke up this morning and there's a new wheelbarrow full of more documents here. And we're going to wake up tomorrow and there's going to be another wheelbarrow. So how can we properly put together our motions if we don't know what's even coming in? And third, defense says that allowing later subpoenas will be more efficient than seeking the same documents during trial. So Trump wants more postponements as a tactical matter, right? Defendant also repeats his view that additional time is needed to preserve his rights to due process and the effective assistance of counsel, because as we've talked about, the discovery in this case is 8 to 12 Washington monuments of copy paper if you printed them all out. The attorneys said it's like, a dozen War and Pieces or whatever the analogy was, basically an impossible amount of discovery for all the attorneys to read, and they all need to read it. So they say, Chutkan says, well, surprise, most of those arguments from Trump are unpersuasive. First, Jack Smith, my hero, points out that the sole organizational defect cited by the defense was actually a best practice. Rather than compiling the email materials themselves, the government provided those materials in a format that would easily allow the defense to compile them in their preferred manner. And they didn't respond to that point, so they must be wrong. Second, Chutkan says, I've already heard your complaints about the volume of the discovery materials multiple times in this case, and I've concluded that the schedule that this court set would be appropriate given, for the example, the early production of the organized discovery. And this was the highlighter girl situation that we had. Chutkan said there's like sticky notes all over this thing, okay? And some person named Molly at the DOJ had a highlighter and organized it alphabetically for you, like with tabs and everything, which nobody cares about other than Molly and Judge Chutkan. The quantity of materials that were duplicative or to which the defense had already had access, so they don't need to read it anyways or even look at it since it's in the government's, possession, and the defendant's resources, so Trump is rich. That's it. Trump is rich, so he can review these materials because he's got a bunch of money to spend on lawyers. So in the interest of justice, Judge Chutkan says, the court must weigh, as it has, any request for additional time to review those materials against the disadvantages of backloading the pretrial schedule. And so their request for a deadline that is extended into February illustrates the problems inherent with additional delay. And we've been saying this here, my friends, she is not going to move this trial unless she's ordered to move it. On that schedule, those motions would not be ripe until March 1st, 3 days before the trial is scheduled to begin. Right? And this is why Trump is asking for this stuff. They've already gamed it out. So after which the court would have to rule, the subpoenas, if any, would have to issue, the materials would have to be produced, Trump would have to review them. All of this would take time and it could frustrate the rule of expediting the process. Now that said, the judge will permit one more partial extension of the deadline of about a month. That will still allow those motions to be briefed and decided and any subpoenaed materials to be produced and reviewed before the scheduled trial, right? And so the judge is being smart about this too. She's not a dummy here. Like, she knows what she's doing. She built in enough time for a couple little extensions, but she's not going to move the end of trial date. This is how they do it in general. But she's really, gamed out this timeline. So she says, with respect to motions to compel, the court will permit a deadline extension of about 2 weeks. As Trump requests, this will permit the parties to further confer regarding any outstanding discovery requests and will allow him time to file motions with respect to any other unresolved disputes. Now, after that deadline, Trump may seek leave to file any additional motions, but if the motions are related to discovery produced by the government following that deadline, that will preserve the right to raise the motions with respect to discovery. So this is the schedule. If there's any problems, complain about it later. Accordingly, the request for extension of time is granted in part and denied in part, and it's ordered new deadlines. All motions to compel, which are going to be juicy, we are just gearing up, man. It's crazy. Motions to compel November 27th, oppositions December 11th, replies December 18th. We're going to be in trial like any day. Motions for Rule 17 subpoenas 12/13, 12/27, and any replies by January 3rd. And we will be gearing up for jury selection in February with trial in March. It's going to be here before you know it, my friends. So that is from Tanya Chutkan, the United States District Court judge. Trump's attorneys are trying to ask for continuances and extensions so that they can have a fair trial in this case, not one that is scheduled literally the day before Super Tuesday, and one that is going to take and bog Trump down for 6 to 8 weeks maybe in a trial. So Chutkan holding firm on the trial date. We'll see what Trump's defense says about this. Of course, they're going to be fighting hard, appealing gag order rulings and all sorts of things. And so we'll be here to continue to cover this, my friends. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking this video and joining us, sharing it with a friend or family member, going to Robert Gouveia to sign up for our daily newsletter where you can get the show reports translated and delivered to your inbox every day. And we'll be looking forward to seeing you on the next one. All right, my friends. And we'll see what Chutkan does. We're still waiting for some other rulings out of Florida and elsewhere on the Trump trials. But now, my friends, let's change gears a little bit and talk about what's happening at the Oversight Committee there in Congress, because you can see James Comer is getting his left hand ready to sign some subpoenas in this segment that we're about to talk about. And so let's get right to it. Subpoenas go out for Hunter Biden and James Biden, and they're not alone. A lot of other Biden crime family members got subpoenas as well, and letters from Congress. You see here, Sara Biden, Hallie Biden, Cohen-Biden, and others involved with the Biden crime family, people like Tony Bobulinski, got letters, but those are in addition to these subpoenas, the documents we are going to go through today. Here, Hunter Biden got one, so did James Biden, and Rob Walker did as well. Now, before we take a look at the press release that came out from Oversight, here is James Comer signing these puppies, and boy, does he look like he's enjoying it. You see him there, a lefty, shout out. He's got some lighting in the background for his court appearances, and he's got those cufflinks, baby. And watch as that left hand kind of just comes out like he's cocking a gun. Boom, cha-ching, boom, and there it is. Watch this happen. I don't think we have any audio on this, but there it is. Ready to go. Boom. Sign that puppy. James Comer got a little bit of a hook hand going. I can relate to that. And give me another one. I'm ready for the next one. Watch this one. Clap that down. Watch this one. Boom. Let me sign this subpoena. Ooh, that feels good. Sign it right there on the bottom right. We're going to look at all these documents here in a short minute. But there is another one. The third subpoena going out to the Biden crime family associates. A day's work done. Sign that pen, baby. Put that in a timekeeper box. This is what the subpoenas look like, my friends. Now, we're going to go through them. We're also going to read the press release. Ian Sams is going to respond to that, and we'll take a look at the letters. This is what Oversight said from their publication today. Comer issues subpoenas to the Biden and the associates, the Biden family and associates. You see here, Comer issued subpoenas to Hunty Poo, Brother James, and Rob Walker to appear for depositions, a congressional deposition. Comer also requested additional members of the Biden family and their associates appear for transcribed interviews. And so we've got a bunch of subpoenas, 3 subpoenas, and a bunch of letters to go through. The Oversight Committee released all these things. This is according to the Oversight Committee. They say financial records show that the Biden family, everybody, set up over 20 shell companies, most of which were created when Joe was VP. They received over $24 million from foreign nationals over the course of 5 years, including millions from China, Russia, Ukraine, Romania, Kazakhstan. Devin Archer, a Biden family associate, said that Joe Biden was, quote, the brand. They were all trading on his name. And recently, the Oversight Committee identified 2 checks identified as loan repayments from James and Sara Biden, money laundered from China. And we remember what those checks look like. They were big, juicy checks right here. See who signed this one right here? Sara Biden, 40 grand right there. So we're asking, well, what are all these family members involved for? We're going to hear people from the White House saying, they're family, they're private citizens, leave them alone. But why are they so involved in these loan repayments? Very curious. They say the American people needs to learn the truth about this. Here are the various links for all the various subpoenas and letters, and let's just get right to them and see what is inside. The first one, of course, the big one, a subpoena by authority of the House of Representatives of the Congress of the United States of America. directed to Robert Hunter Biden, you are hereby commanded to be and appear before the Committee on Oversight and Accountability of the House of Representatives of these United States at the time and location below. You are ordered to testify at a deposition touching matters of inquiry committed to said committee or subcommittee, and you are not to depart without leave of said committee or subcommittee. Date of the testimony, December 13th, 2023, 9:30 a.m. at the Rayburn House Office Building. Mark your calendars, my friends. Sending this one and this subpoena to any staff member or designated official at the United States Marshal Service to go and serve this upon Hunty and his team. Signed and sealed from the United States House of Representatives, Washington, D.C., November 8th, 2023, by James Comer, Chairman of the Oversight Committee. So that's a big one. That's a pretty spicy subpoena to go out there. And we're looking forward to Hunter Biden probably not showing up. We'll see what he does. And we'll see what James Comer does about this. Because remember, the way that people who deny subpoenas, the way it goes for them, people like Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro, is Congress refers the failure over to the Department of Justice, and the Department of Justice prosecutes them. So in this case, if Comer gets Hunter to not appear, and he willfully ignores a subpoena, Comer is going to refer this over to who? The DOJ. Hunter's dad runs it, and they've been corrupted for decades, and more recently in Hunter's specific case. So they're not going to be prosecuting him. Now, that was over to Hunter. James Biden, the president's bro, who got a lot of so-called loans and who's also been involved in the Hunter Biden chain and trail of criminality, also gets a subpoena. Here's what this one says. Same thing. By authority of the House of Representatives of the Congress of the United States, to James Biden, you are hereby commanded to appear in Congress in front of the Oversight Committee at a deposition, but you're coming in first. December 6, 9:30 a.m. at the Rayburn House. Signed and sealed, James Comer, authorized by the House of Representatives Oversight Committee. We also got this guy, John Robinson Walker, got a subpoena. Same story for him, deposition. He's coming in even before the both of them. He'll be there at the end of November, possibly. James Comer signing off on this one as well. And so those subpoenas are now delivered to the Marshal Service, and of course they'll be hopefully serving those if they don't put them in the shredder or ignore them. But we also had letters, and so these letters are largely the same. Now, actually, before we get to these letters, I want to show you what Ian Sams said in response to this. Ian Sams is one of the spokespeople, special advisor to the president, and he does a lot of the propaganda for them. He says, Hallie Biden is the widow of the president's deceased son, Bo. We're going to read the letter to her, right? And poor Hallie is a victim. She's a widow. But I'm pretty sure Hallie had a weird relationship with Hunty. Like, I think they got together and did the old hibbity-dibbity over there. I don't know if they were on crack together or what, but, you know, who knows what's going on in that family. So Hallie is highly involved in it. Melissa Cohen is the president's daughter-in-law. Elizabeth Secundy is her sister, is Hallie's sister. They're all private citizens. They say Comer should be ashamed of desperately resorting to nasty personal smears like this one. Yeah, right. Let's take a look at the letters. This one went over to Hallie Biden, right? This is the widow. And you say, all right, Hallie, the House committee is investigating whether sufficient grounds exist to impeach Joe Biden. We're writing you for information. Now, we've reviewed bank accounts of entities and individuals associated with Biden, and this review uncovered a pattern of financial complexity concerning to us. As detailed in an impeachment memo that we read through here, and the Oversight Committee's bank memoranda, the Biden family used corporate bank accounts of third-party associates, maybe people like you, Hallie, to receive wires from foreign companies and from foreign nationals. The Biden business associates then dispersed money to various Biden family members in incremental payments over time, footnote 4 from the memos. So Hallie, evidence shows that President Biden was at least aware of some of his family's business ventures and sought to influence potential business deals that financially benefited the family. Indeed, a business associate called Devin Archer testified how Biden was the brand used in retaining businesses and that Joe Biden met with some of the foreign nationals who paid the family. Committees have identified you, Hallie, as possessing info relevant to their investigation and their testimony. And so we're making this request to you. In particular, here's what we found out about you. The committee has reviewed bank records that showed that you, Hallie, have received tens of thousands of dollars from Hunter's domestic and international business associates. For example, bank records show that in March of 2017, Robinson Walker LLC, they sent you $25,000, which originated from an entity affiliated with a Chinese energy company called CEFC. Through a similar series of complicated financial transactions, Joe Biden also got proceeds from CEFC. We covered that story here. Additionally, Hallie, you received $10,000 from the same company, Robinson Walker, in February 2017 after payments from a Cypriot company controlled by Romanian business associates of Hunter Biden initiated this. The committees now want to understand how this worked. We've identified the framework. We're investigating the national security implications of foreign money funneled into families and how it relates to members' income. And so we're going to craft legislation that allows us to investigate this. And so we want more transparency. That's why we're sending you this letter. The rest of this is boilerplate stuff. Sincerely, your friends, James Comer and Jim Jordan. That's why we're asking you, Hallie, make yourself available for a transcribed interview with the committee counsel. Call these people to schedule and do it by November 15th. Or else Congress will do something. We'll see. So that went over to Hallie. Now, many of these letters are going to follow the same format. And so I don't want to belabor the point. Let's just see where the good stuff is. This one goes over to the other Mrs. Biden, and this was Sara Biden. Okay, so this is James's brother. So this is the sister who wrote the check. So James' wife. Okay, so Mrs. Biden is Mrs. James Biden. She signed the check that we just looked at. They say, okay, Sara, we got questions for you. In particular, the committee seeks information about payments that have been made from your personal bank account to your brother-in-law, Joe Biden, the president, Sara. For example, the Oversight Committee has recently released information showing that Biden, Joe, received money originating from China via yourself and Hunter. On November 1st, for example, the Oversight Committee released a fourth bank record memo which revealed that you issued a $40,000 check from your personal bank account to Joe Biden, originating from Chinese money that Hunter demanded as part of his CEFC deal. We also identified your company, Sara, the Lion Hall Group, as receiving significant payments from Hudson West 3. This and additional payments the Oversight Committee has identified represent approximately $250,000 benefit to the president based on his family business dealings. And so we have questions for you, Sara. So we're going to be crafting legislation about it. Why don't you also make yourself available for an interview? Sincerely, Comer and Jordan. We also got this one. This one is to Mr. Passatino. Passatino says, here is another person. Now, they want information about Bobulinski, saying that the committees are aware that your client has spoken about previous business activities with James and Hunter Biden. And we've got questions about the narrative that your client gave to the FBI in 2020. It says your client's own account. It says Mr. Bobulinski has confirmed to have participated in these activities with other Bidens, like John Rob Walker, a member of the Biden family. James Biden has been involved as well. And so that went over to Passatino. This one went over to Miss Cohen-Biden, who I think is the sister-in-law. Melissa Cohen-Biden is the president's daughter-in-law. Okay, so she also got one. And the daughter-in-law, they've identified $20 million, and they say that she received proceeds from a foreign source. This source is concerning and we want information from you. So not much details about her. And then lastly, this one went over to Miss Secundy. And Miss Secundy, as we know, is the sister of Hallie Biden. She got some Biden money as well. They say Miss Secundy, sister-in-law, sister to Hallie. So it would be like Hunter's, I don't even know what it is, but yeah, all right. So she's here, and she gets another letter. They say to her, a short one. We're investigating national security implications. We've identified bank records. Here, we've identified bank records that show you, Secundy, have gotten tens of thousands of dollars from Hunter directly. Why is Hunter paying all these people? We're aware that Hunter used Owasco to receive proceeds from foreign national banks, and bank records show you got 20 grand from his professional corporation. And so we seek to understand services you may have provided Owasco. And additionally, a recent release of messages from the Ways and Means Committee references significant payments to you from Hunter Biden. Why did you receive this money from Hunter? Very good question. Very good question. So, my friends, as you can see, there was a lot that came out today. James Comer signing 3 new subpoenas for Hunter Biden, James Biden, and Rob Walker. We've got letters going out to a bunch of other people, and we know the format here. Would you please show up? First request. Would you pretty please show up? Second request. There's usually a subpoena threat, then there's a subpoena. And so we'll see if these people play ball or not. We'll see if Hunter and James play ball or not. We'll continue to cover this one, of course, my friends, as the Biden crime family marches on. We're certainly looking forward to more of the connections being revealed by the Oversight Committee and others, and we'll be here to continue to cover it. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for checking out robertgovea.com to sign up for our daily newsletter. That way you get all of these segments translated into reports delivered right to your inbox, PDF files. Everything is uploaded on robertgovea.com, and we'll be looking forward to seeing you there and back here on the next one. All right, my friends. Well, that is it for us on the day. Man, we covered some good ground. We got new subpoenas going out. We'll see if those turn up anything useful. Chutkan is now ordering Trump to disclose whether he's going to be using a key defense, and we'll see if they ultimately do that or not. And Ivanka testified in trial, and as we can see, I don't think it was all that consequential today from her. But Tishy seems to be excited about it. We'll see what the Trump defense looks like. And we did cover a lot of ground, of course, but now it's time to hear from you. And so we're going to jump over, as a reminder, to our members-only after party here as soon as we're done jumping through some of your amazing donos. And we'll stick around for our after party. So members on YouTube, grab the Telegram link so you can join on Telegram and join us for the after party. We do members-only streams in the mornings. We do Saturday shows. We'd love to have you as a member, so come check us out. watchingthewatchers.locals.com is the place to be. And James Gass just became a member over on the YouTubes. Welcome, James. Grateful to have you in the house as a membo. Love that. We got Newbie of Death reviews stuff. Says fiduciary. And man, look at that. 19 months as a membo. That's like multiple kids and then some. That first kid's like talking, I think now. I don't know how kids develop. I don't know. I'm not really an expert on it. But member for 19 months, Newbie. Thanks for being a membo, man. And you're right. Fiduciary in the house. Quell is here as a supporter. Welcome aboard, Quell. Very glad to have you as well. We'll do a members only stream tomorrow and see you there. Hey, Glocky McGlockface is here. Welcome, Glocky McGlockface. Such a cutie poo face. Says, hey, it just sent in a dono. Hey, first super chat from Glocky McGlockface in the house. Is that true, Glocky McGlockface? I thought you sent something in before. Oh, you're a membo. That's why you're a membo. I was going to say, I'm familiar with you. Thank you for sending in a dono. Sent in this one, says, Rob, Minnesota SCOTUS has refused to remove Trump. That's good. That's great news. So I haven't seen that article yet. Here it is, actually. Speaking of the devil. Yeah, so here that is. Just a quick report from CNN. Minnesota Supreme Court blocks the bid to remove Trump. This is good news. I mean, it's the right news. Said there's no statute that prohibits a major political party from placing them on the ballot. and sending delegates a candidate who's ineligible to vote. All right, well, I'm going to look into that one. That may be worth, a full segment on it, so we'll see. But very, very awesome. Thank you for sending that one in. Glocky McGlockface. We got Ravicus is here. Says, so imagine this. Would Joe Biden be sniffing Engeron's hair, or would Engeron be sniffing Biden's hair? Oh, gosh. What a horrible visual. They'd probably be sniffing each other's hair. I don't know how they'd figure that one out, but Engeron might be like rubbing up Joe's leg with his areolas flopping in the wind. Who knows? NY's here says, meanwhile, this judge makes you hate New York. Do not fear Suffolk County, Long Island, and Nashua County. They've gone red after yesterday's election. The only blue is New York City. And it's very, very, very dark blue. NY says, so New York has a history of being a bully. Decades of uncontested moves by local and federal districts into businesses have precedent. Only Congress can correct this overreach. From the good doctor over on locals. Truman says, think DJT can pay property tax on $18 million now? I'm sure he would prefer that to paying property taxes on $1 billion. It's good to see you, Truman. I don't think that's what they would want, that they would allow him to do that, but I get your point. Wendy says, all this trial is about money. They want to try to hurt him in his pocketbook and give the GOP cause to not have him as the nominee. Well, totally. They want to take his businesses away. They want to hit him for $250 million in damages. It's theft. It's robbery. It's antithetical to, private property rights and America. You could fine him. You could do something. This is a whole show trial. It's by 2 elected Democrats, and it's reprehensible. They want money. It's the opportunity cost, right? New York would get the money. Letitia would have a scalp. The judge would get a promotion, and they would all take that money away from Trump's war chest, and they would not be able to. He would not be able to use that, right? Be a big problem. Yohei Plumbing says, can someone send some Midol to Judge Engeron? He's very agitated today. I don't know if that would help his irritation. Is that useful for Trump derangement syndrome? I thought that was, a useful product for women during a certain time of the month. But I don't know. Is there something like a TDS Aquil? TDS Trump derangement Aquil? Something like that? That's what he needs. NY's here says the whole Trump trial issue unmasks a huge problem. The law has become a religion unto itself, with the priests of this religion being the lawyers. They just make stuff up, just like insurrection, and they give notice of your defense before the trial. It's ridiculous. And the people through Congress should fix this uncontrolled part of the U.S. government, the DOJ and the lawyers. Good comment, NY. A bad poet says, bet Dirty Jack already has copies of those emails. Yeah, you mean those deranged thugs over there in the DOJ? We got NY says, I have had judges try to compel me to prescribe things in blatant violation of the law. Most are good, but this scenario we have with the DOJ and the legal system is not what the founders intended. Says, Congress handles jurisdiction. It can simply take away jurisdiction of the federal courts for former and current presidents and assign either military courts or a special court. Says, keeping someone off the ballot is very much different than preventing from public office. If Trump wins, I suspect it will start with in federal court, which is fine. No court will invalidate a federal presidential election, so they know their only chance is keeping him off the ballot. Good to see you, NY. Thank you for those. We got this one from B-Man. Says they are not going to do anything but show up with their lawyer and plead the fifth, so big waste of time. That may be true, but I think if they do that, then it will speak for itself, and I think that ultimately the evidence will continue to compound. So if they're innocent, they should just show up and explain it. Pretty simple. No, I mean, we were in dire straits. My brother had a bad investment. He needed a loan. Joe Biden gave him $250,000. He paid back $240,000 of it and wrote off the other whatever. Like, it's all documented. Leave us alone. They're going to show up, plead the fifth, and the facts, the documents will still prove the case. Good to see you, B-Man. Rose is here. Rose for Life says, trying to figure out how to do tips. So this is a trial run. Success. I really appreciate the reporting since the regular sources give us nothing. I know. It's really bad out there. Isn't it bad? I mean, I do the same thing. Like, I read articles now, and I'm like, there is nothing in here. Like, it's ruined. Going like this show with you guys has ruined me reading articles. I'm like, there's nothing in this. Where are the documents at? I get so irritated. So it's actually good because then I go get the documents and we talk about them. So, if they pulled the documents out and did a good job talking about them, we'd have more competition here, but they're terrible. So it's nice. All right. Thanks, Rose. Jeremiah's here, says, regarding the Biden subpoena, will we then see the FBI, DOJ step in to squash this, claiming it interferes with their open investigation, as we speculated here before? That's an interesting question. Like if they would send somebody. Yeah, I mean, I don't know what their basis would be to interfere with a congressional investigation, right? If you're Congress, you say, I don't give a crap about your investigation. You're not investigating. It's separation of powers. Do your investigation. We're doing our investigation. But that being said, right, that's going to enable Hunter to claim and plead the fifth. No, there's an open investigation. I can't talk about anything because there's an open investigation. And then that will be his escape valve. So good comment, Jeremiah. And I love how you flesh that out. Wendy says, there is so much activity today. Love these days when my brain is seriously engaged. Thank you, Robert Gouveia. Thank you, Wendy K. You're right. It's like there is a lot to talk about, and it's good, juicy stuff. And we're getting into the real meat and potatoes of trial season, and it's just going to be wild. We got this one. CF Christian Fellowship Rob is here, says, thanks, Rob. Joined late. Saw Rashida Tlaib got censured last night after Marjorie Taylor Greene made changes to her document, but didn't see Tlaib take the walk of shame. Did anyone know if that happened yet? So I have not seen it. I did see that she did get censured. I saw there were something like 22 Democrats that voted for it, but I don't think she did the walk of shame. But I was thinking back about Pencil Neck, Shifty Schiff, and he didn't do the walk of shame either, right? So I don't know if they're actually doing that now. I was wanting to see, because the order of the censure says that you have to walk into the hall, the well of the House and get your censure, But we didn't see that happen with Schiff, I don't think. Or I was looking for it, and I don't think so. So now Schiff is in good company. He's got another recent censure, which is Rashida Tlaib. Good to see you, Rob. That's over on Rumble. Shout out to our friends on Rumble. And Rob, thanks for being a member over there too, my man. Appreciate that. We got Spuds here. Says it's pronounced Nassau, Rob, not Nashua. Okay, yeah, thank you for the correction on that. Yeah, I'm pretty bad about that type of stuff, as you know. So without your corrections, it's a mess. So Spuds, thank you for that. Nassau, New York is what it's called. Ranger says, Rob, you got to move your start time from 6 p.m. Eastern time to 5 p.m. Eastern time. Unlike Arizona, we have daylight savings, which we've done. Yeah, we did do that. Are you saying like on the website or something? Yeah, we do have to update the website. It's still 5 p.m. Eastern time. So the website we have to update because we haven't done that yet. We got to do that. But you're right. So we did move. So we did start today. Yeah, Ranger, we did start, I think, today at 5 Eastern time. I think you're probably reminding me to update it on the website. MAGA Hat says, Roid Rage. And Ranger, thank you for the tip, my man. I appreciate you being here at whatever time we start. MAGA Hat says, Roid Rage in the house. Roid Rage. Who was that? Wendy says, Midol is great for men and women. Is that true? Well, it's got to be what? Just like an ibuprofen or something? Like it's got to be just the same things in other things, right? Isn't it? Like just, ibuprofen or aspirin or, nalproxen or whatever. I don't know. But anyways, I'll take your word for it, Wendy. We got Hallie. What's up, Hallie? Welcome as a member on our Membos. Our Membo community. Hallie joining us as a new Membo. Jack Mack is here. Woo, thank you, Jack. What a very nice dono from you today. Thank you for sending this one in. Says, dono just because. Good wrap up today. Says, Ivanka looks like she's working the runway in that clip. She does, man. She strutted, didn't she? They all have that walk, actually. They also kind of have that strut to them. And they just come in like they own it, like broad shoulders. Goof, goof, goof. What's up? Trump's in the house. They probably practice that, honestly. Now, good for Minnesota. Now, what happened to the case in Colorado to remove Trump from the ballot? Is it still ongoing? So behind on everything. It's a good question, Jack. I think we have closing arguments soon, like November 15th. I think we come back for closing arguments on Colorado. Good news in Minnesota. I think that we'll see splits here. I think that Colorado, if I have to guess, she's going to remove him or say that there was an insurrection and that disqualifies him. So like the judge will not maybe remove him, but she'll say that there is a finding of insurrection, pursuant to whatever, and then that will necessarily cause the Secretary of State to not qualify him to be on the ballot. So I think we've got closing arguments like November 15th, and then she'll issue a ruling. I could be off on that, but I think that's right. We're still waiting, so it's still pending, in other words. We'll definitely cover it when it happens. Minnesota, I'll look at the SCOTUS opinion on that. Maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow or Friday if we have a slower day. But I do want to see what their rationale was, because I think we're going to see splits on this. Like, we'll see different states keep them off, and until we get clarity on how that can happen, like, what is the legal threshold for insurrection? It's unsettled. We need to know what it is. And SCOTUS might have to come out and do that for us. So, Jack, thank you for saying that. Thanks for being here. And you're right, Ivanka looks pretty good. Don't Mind Me says, Minnesota decision is only for the primary, not for the general. That's Don't Mind Me. Member for 5 months. That's a good nuanced point there. And I think that would still probably carry over into the general. Like, I think the SCOTUS would say it's the same issue no matter where you look at it. But it is interesting, right? We'll see if there's a change in that. Now, the other avenue that I'm concerned about is what if a state legislature holds a special session or something and they find by legislative resolution that Trump is an insurrectionist. Then I don't think there's really any recourse to that, unless SCOTUS says otherwise. So there's still other attack vectors that are possible. We got MAGA Hat over on Locals. MAGA Hat Stays says the Trump kids showed up for all congressional subpoenas. Well, they're nice kids. They follow the law. They're not crackheads who sell out America for hookers and blow. Debbie's here. What's up, Debbie? Very nice dono. Says, nice coverage of the Trump BS. And of course, the Biden trash. Debbie says, still lurking for reasons I can't explain, but wanted to say thanks for all the great coverage and hello to all in Locals. What a nice comment, Debbie. Hey, it's okay to lurk, You don't have to explain yourself. It's all right to lurk. I'm a big lurker, a lot. I lurk all over the place, just lurking. So thank you for popping your head up, Debbie, saying hello, and for the nice compliment, and for the nice comment, and for the nice hellos to all of our friends on Locals, and for being here and supporting us. We love you, Debbie. Raymond's here, says, on a weekend, can you heavy lift the Hatch Act, the who, what, when, where, and why? Because we're heading into voting season and would like some clarity. Well, Raymond, you're a membo, so yeah, maybe we'll hit that like in the membos. We can go take a look at it. I guess I'd want to know like what are you trying to disambiguate? What are you trying to answer? Like, you just want a research project on the Hatch Act, or what? Like the next question is, so what? So that what consequence? Like, are you saying that the Biden administration is constantly defaulting to the Hatch Act? We can't answer any questions because of the Hatch Act. And are we asking, is that legitimate or not? And is there any recourse to that? Or are you asking how far we can get to the Hatch Act without crossing the Hatch Act? I'd be curious as to sort of what context you want to wrap around that. We're heading into the voting season, like some clarity. Yeah, I'm happy to dig into it. Thank you, Raymond. And we'll see you. I see you're a membo, so it'll be good to see you tomorrow. We got this one from Christian Fellowship. Rob says, Schiff took the walk of shame. Did he? I saw that one. You did? We missed that. I think we missed that. Yeah, I don't know. All right, gosh, I'm taking your word for it. Wendy Case here says it is ibuprofen on steroids. Is that what it is? Is it like a heavy dose of it? Yeah. All right. Well, that's good to know. We got this. Thank you, Wendy K. We got King Ginger says Engeron would let Joey smell his Greenfield's hair. Gross. I don't know if he would. He really loves his Greenfield. He's very protective of her. So I'm not sure if he would let Joey anywhere near her. We got this one. A bad poet says, my phone says it's 5:40 p.m. Reset the alarm for 4 p.m. So we are now live 3 p.m. Arizona time, 5 p.m. Eastern time is I think how it is fleshing out, because everybody moved their clocks. Rob says all the Democrats were cheering for Schiff while he entered the well. They all crowded around him. Oh, is that what it was? Is that what it was? Maybe I just missed it. I thought we played the clip here and I don't remember seeing him in there. but I could have just been, we could have just missed it. I might have just missed it. Thank you, Rob. We got this one from Fact says, is it appropriate to close with Judge? This, Your Honor, this is redonkulous. You know, you might as well, I mean, what, you know, the whole thing's kind of a kangaroo court, so why not just use whatever kind of words you want? Thanks, Facts Matter. The judge might even laugh at that. The judge might, you know, fall out of his chair laughing because he just thinks this whole thing is a joke. Now, it is redonkulous. MAGA Hat says, Colorado is determining if the First Amendment trumps the 14th. She will decide that. So I think that is the delay. Okay, first versus the 14th. Well, we'll see what she does. I still have my doubts about her. Voice of the People says, what's up? Voice been a member for 8 months, almost at a baby, just about to pop. Says, check Roger Parloff for that. It doesn't carry the general. He can still be removed in the general. But I guess under what legal basis? I would have to look into that. Like, what is the legal basis for that? If he can't be removed in the primary because it's not insurrection in the primary, why would it suddenly be an insurrection in the general that would disqualify him from that? Like, you can either get on a ballot or not, is what I would say. Like, if he can get on the primary ballot, are there certain people who can get on a primary and also not get on the general? Like, if you qualify to get on the primary, presumably you win the primary, automatically go to the general. So, yeah, I'm curious about that, but I'll check Roger Parloff. Thank you, Voice. Great question. Thanks for being a member for 8 months. NY says, the correct analysis is you cannot sue to have him removed unless he attempts to get into office. It's too early. Only at his swearing in and after can someone challenge him. Then, in the millisecond after, we can turn around and say, latches. Latches. Yeah, just like they did to us. Golden Gaming has said, Rob, how bad do you think the SMMA of 2012 was? I have no idea what that even is. Let me see if I can see what that is. The Smith-Munt Modernization Act. Introduced in Congress, designed to regulate broadcasting of programs for foreign audiences, brought by the State Department. This was effective 1948, an act to promote the better understanding of the United States called the Smith-Munt Act. I don't know much about it. The SMMA of 2012. Now that's 2012. It was originally passed in 1948, effective. I don't know. I don't know much about it. Golden Gaming, thank you for the tip off on that. I don't know much about it. So, if you're asking how bad do you think it was, and it was passed during the Obama years, bad. I'd say it's probably bad. It's probably not any good for anybody. So thank you for that one. I'm not sure. I don't know much about it, but I will look into it. Golden Gaming, thanks for being a member for 7 months, 2 months away from a baby. We're about to pop here, my friends. We're about to have a bunch of kids running around. We got Debbie Marie. Says Schiff did, but Taleb doesn't need to. Johnson didn't want her to have to. So Schiff did do it, huh? Man, I mean, I missed that here. I didn't get to enjoy that. Well, I'll have to go look it up. We got, okay, A Boy Misunderstood says Loomer's post on X, Don Marie Engeron, severe DTS. Oh, gosh. So I saw this this afternoon as I was doing show prep, and we might cover it at some point, but Laura Loomer had a wild post on X. Laura did, really, really great reporting on this. She dug into Don Marie. She dug into Engeron's son. And like Don Marie has protected her Twitter account. There's a lot there. And we'll probably bundle that up with another Engeron segment. But yeah, check out Laura Loomer if you haven't on X, because she did a great report on the rest of the family. And, you know, if like the wife is slamming Donald Trump all the time, and this judge is also posting in his areola newsletters, you know, his highlight reel of prosecuting Trump, right? These people, the whole family is clearly biased. This whole thing is so illegitimate. And thank you, A Boy Misunderstood, for being a membo and for shouting out Laura Loomer. She did some very good reporting on that. Hey, what's up? Facts Matter, been a membo for 14 months. What's up, Facts? Says 14 months. My torso is huge. so the first baby never came out. It's still just growing in there. It's popping like giant. And Facts Matter, is using the word torso, just like Judge Engeron. So we could have an absolutely huge 14-month extra bonus torso photo of the babies in the house. Fax, good to see you. Thanks for being a membo and being so contributory. We appreciate you. Hey, Spuds is here. Oh my gosh. Spuds says, Rob, I got your mom's meatball and sauce recipe. It sounds great. I really appreciate it. My mama sent that out? All right, you better guard that with your life, Spuds. That's like a sacred recipe. I think my mom's giving out the meatball recipe because she's like, well, my son's not going to learn how to cook it, so somebody better. Well, we'll figure it out, Mama. Don't you worry. But it's a great meatball recipe, and they're my favorite. And you guys saw them here on my birthday when she brought them here. Big, juicy meatballs, man. So good. It's basically nature's most perfect food. So enjoy, Spuds. I hope you enjoy them. You'll have to let us know what you think. And Voice says, SMMA of 2012 allowed propaganda on our news, and they can refile to remove him for the general. Oh, well, certainly I think that they could refile it, like they could resue him, but I think that the conclusion of SCOTUS is going to be the same, right? Like the rationale will be the same. So they can try to sue him again, but are they going to say, well, this time, now we think that he's disqualified? I'll look it up. I must be missing something. So, I'll look it up, Voice. Thank you for asking the questions, and I'll take a look at it, and we'll see if we can unpack that. Very nice to see you, Voice, and thanks for the dono. Husky Mom says, Rob, I shared the link in the chat. Here it is again, so you can watch him do the walk of shame. All right, let's just indulge together, my friends. Since apparently we missed this the first time, we missed this the first time here, which I thought we played it. Like, I'm pretty sure we just played this clip, but I don't think that I recognize that he was in the well. Yeah, there it is. You're right. There it is. Maybe their footage was just grainy.
Resolution 521, the House has resolved.
Enjoy, my friends. Let's enjoy.
That the House of Representatives censures Adam Schiff, representative of the 30th Congressional
What a
District
loser.
of California. For misleading the American public.
That's right, he did. That's right. Liar.
And for conduct unbecoming of an elected member of the House of Representatives.
Totally shameful and unbecoming conduct.
The Representative Adam Schiff will be forthwith present himself in the well of the House of Representatives for the pronouncement of censure. That Representative Adam Schiff will be censured with the public reading of this resolution by the Speaker. And that the Committee on Ethics shall conduct an investigation into Representative Adam Schiff's falsehoods, misrepresentations, and abuse of sensitive information.
To my Republican colleagues.
Censured. And so he was down there in the well, right? And so they didn't really show it all that well. Yeah, they didn't even show it all.
Badge of honor.
They didn't even, I wanted to see him down in the well. Like that. Like that's the image that we wanted.
You have to go through it.
This one, right? There he is. Right there down in the well. Censured. Censured. And you can see his giant melon on his little pencil neck all the way from this angle. All right, so there you go. What a loser. What a historic loser. Unbelievable, isn't it? All right, my friends. And so thank you for the very, very generous donos. And says, they're just meatballs, Rob. You can learn to make the meatballs. Make your mama proud. They're like complicated, Jack. There's like veal in there. There's like 3 different meats. There's like all these. It's like a complicated process, all right? But thank you for your faith. You have much more faith in me than probably my mama does. I'm just teasing. We'll figure out the meatball recipe, no doubt about it. And it's a good one. Like, it's a really good one. So Jack Mack, do you know what my cooking skills are? I don't think so. All right. So thank you, Jack. Thank you for the very generous donos, my friends. Let's go and say hello to our friends on the X platform before we wrap it up and go over to our members only after party here in just a quick minute. Who is joining us on the X platform? And my friends, by the way, we actually have 11 viewers. Oh my gosh, it's double digits again. We're in double digits territory. You could say things are getting pretty serious here on the X platform. We also have a watcher community now on the X platform, and you can come over here and join us. We're still trying to figure it out, what we're doing here, obviously. I think Elon is too, but it is a community called Watching the Watchers, and it's a great way to join, see other people, put names to faces, connect with them all across the fruited plain of the internet. And so come check it out over there. Just search for the Watching the Watchers group. We got this one from Norman Lee Smith. What's up, Norman? Says, great live stream, Rob. As always, thank you for the info and the analysis. Oh, Danny McWilliams is sharing this one. We got 51 viewers in the house. Fred says, hey, chat, does this make you sick to your stomach like me? That's a message from Johnny, the nice little cute rascally fellow right there in the chat, in the X. Feline Fun says, so Chutkan can just ignore all these motions to dismiss? I really want to hear her justification for not dismissing the case. Well, we'll hear it at some point. She has not issued any rulings yet, but she will, and we'll go through them when they come out. She'll explain her rationale for it soon. Raven Madness is here, says, we need attorney Daryl Brooks grounds subject matter jurisdiction. George says, can they still invoke the order, but call the lawyers verbal testimony, not paperwork trail? What if these exchanges were all verbal? If you're talking about Hunter and Joe, they would need some witness, right? They would need some evidence about it, digging into it. Something, yeah, some evidence, an eyewitness who heard the testimony, somebody to attest to that. Emery says, what a great show today, Robert. Thank you. Thank you, Emery. I appreciate that. M Money says, what can be done about this judge and the clerk? Is there some ethics complaint or Supreme Court? Yeah, so you could always file a judicial ethics complaint. This is the courts, I guess, or maybe the legislature in New York could theoretically remove him, or I don't know what the removal mechanism is there, but whatever the formal removal mechanism is, you could appeal him, right? Judges don't like to be appealed. Many different things, but file a judicial complaint. But is it going to result in any difference? Probably not. P.S. Good ideas, though. P.S. says, I know you do stuff on locals, but if you're ever interested, do some Twitter spaces. Yeah, we've got some. So I want to try to incorporate that. We'll do a Twitter test maybe this weekend, actually. I just want to test it out. I want to see if I can pull the Twitter up on the screen, because I think Elon has now allowed us to plug in our mics and our mics into the X feed. And if we can do that, then we could put it on the screen and do the space, which would be kind of cool. Wolf says, I really wish the New York AG would have said, but it would be cool if you allowed me to break all privileges, which is really what they want to do. Watching over here on X because the YouTube ad campaign has been awful lately. We're glad that you made it over on the X. And a bad poet's here. Oh, we got a bonus torso photo of Alina Abba over there. James says, the New York Attorney General is not the prosecutor in this case, more like a litigator. She keeps saying the facts will come out, but we still don't know who the victim is. And Esan says, hello, everyone. Enjoying the show. How corrupt can a judge become before they get removed? Has this happened before? I'm sure there are corrupt judges out there, but this is a particularly bad case. And so, my friends, thank you for those amazing comments over on the X platform. We'd love to see you join us over there as well. At Rob Govea ESQ is the X account, and we're posting all of our videos there as well, and the live streams. So if you want to come check us out and leave a retweet, leave a comment, we'd love to see you there. But, my friends, that is it for us on the day. We had one more comment come in from Rob. He says, the SMMA change under Obama allows the U.S. media to propagandize its citizens and not tell the truth. Help protect Obama and his fake birth certificates and everything else that has been happening to silence us. That's interesting, yeah. I don't know much about it, but I am going to learn about it because it sounds awful. And I wonder, is it up for renewal? Is it permanent? Is there anything that the Republicans can do about that? I think most everything is just propaganda now in general. You really have to think about what they are feeding us on a daily basis. So thank you, Rob, for that one. Very generous donos, my friends. Thank you so much for sending all of those in. I really do appreciate them. And we're grateful for you. We are going over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com to wrap up our members only after party. And we'd love to see you over there at watchingthewatchers.locals.com. Member streams in the morning, Saturday shows. Come and check it out. Also, don't forget about our website, robertgovea.com, where you can sign up for the daily newsletter, get all the show reports, all the segments synthesized and delivered to your inbox, and you can click the links and get the PDFs. All of it's there, robertgovea.com. Come check it out. Before we wrap up, we want to say thank you to our mods and our meme smiths who mod down the fort for us. But before we do, we got a special birthday celebration shout out in the house. We got big happy birthdays to Waylon and Noah, who are turning 6 years old today. Woo! So shout out to Waylon and Noah. Happy birthday, you two young gentlemen. Hopefully you're having a beautiful birthday with Aunt Christina and you're celebrating, having a ton of fun. Happy birthday to Waylon and Noah. 6 years old, man. It's a great age. A lot of future ahead. And so hopefully you're having a ton of fun celebrating. That's over to our friends from our locals community. We also want to thank the mods and the meme smiths who mod down the fort for us, keeping things nice and orderly. Our friends Donut Mind Me clipping away for us today, along with Zach Nichols. And Donut Mind Me's here. Dog Digger, Janek909, John Allen's in the house. Our friend Zach Nichols clipping for us too. Beyond Geo, Zulu's here. We got Ronnie Cole. We got Playin' Hooky, Just Cause, K-Bean, and of course, the Anti-Kiss Prime in the house, modding down the fort for us, keeping things nice and tidy. We also want to say thank you to our meme smiths, our friend Geegum Geegum, Nathan, N810, and of course, Sleepy Dog Lee over on the X platform. That, my friends, is it for us on the day. And we are going to leave it there here, but we're not done yet. We got our members only after party happening right now. So YouTube members, grab the Telegram link. We'll see you over there. But this week is still rocking and rolling ahead, and we are going to be back here tomorrow. And we need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Thank you.